Welcome to Lyric Lab Poetry, everyone. My name is Martin Jago, and it struck me that recently some of the videos I've made have been speaking about short form poetry, like the haiku. I've focused a lot on the idea of precision and concision. Those things don't go away just because a poem's longer, but I thought we would really flip the story this week and look at long form poems. Most poems are short. We're told to keep them contained and sharp. But as I said, those things don't go away just because we are writing a longer poem. Of course, you'll probably be familiar with Homer's The Odyssey or the Iliad, Dante's Inferno, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. Here are just a few, but what about contemporary examples? I've got two excellent examples here. Here is Alice Oswald's Dart, which is just a wonderful book that is the kind of voice of the river and all the people around it as it moves from its source. The name of the river, by the way, is the River Dart in England. And as it travels towards the sea, it's really an incredible collection of poetry. A collection, well, one long poem. And here's the other one, which is Claudia Rankine's Citizen. It is an incredible work of art and a powerful political poem. And I mean political with a small p. It navigates the human experience and the painful and acute suffering of everyday citizens who just happen not to be white. The microaggressions, the everyday indignities that are suffered and carried by ordinary people in this country. It's a shocking, startling, and beautiful act. The actual act of creating it, but giving it to the world. And I highly, highly recommend this book. Please do buy it and read it and digest it and just stand back in awe at the power of this poet's voice. So, the long form poem. I think the word long can kind of wrong foot us. Really, a long form poem is just an extended exploration. So you want to think about the themes that really drive your writing. It may be the case that there's one theme there in the work that you craft that keeps emerging, keeps returning, and that might be where to place your focus when thinking about long form poetry or poetic fragments. So where to begin this journey with the long form poem? What's the one question your poems keep circling around? You want to think about an image, a myth, a place. It could be a political moment or a personal memory. These are all really, really good places to begin that exploration. We sometimes get daunted at the idea of a poem that's going to be as long as a book of poems. And so it's important to break down the poem into its constituent parts or to think about that. So let's start with narrative poems. It's about telling a story, isn't it? With dialogue, with characters, with plot. It can feel like a short story or a novel in verse. A good example of that I've already mentioned, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. And I believe also that's in ballad form. So it has a kind of rhythmic element that carries you along. 4 beats followed by 3 beats, followed by 4 beats, followed by 3 beats. So beyond that linear narrative structure, you might think about lyric sequences. And this can feel a bit like a kind of mixtape of your thematic elements, if you like, a series of emotionally resonant musical poems around one theme. Check out The Wild Iris by Louise Gluck. Each of the poems stands alone, but they help to build this emotional arc or thematic presence throughout the sequence. Here's a quick prompt for you, a mini prompt. Write 3 poems that orbit around a single word, and you have just begun a lyric sequence. So if you think about the word water, and you could think of other words that relate to that. It's really good to do this on a piece of paper and just brainstorm the one word that comes to mind. Water could be about thirst, could be about drought, it could be about being inundated, a flood. What other things would you attach to, water's about life, it's about survival. So here you've got the beginnings of a lyric sequence. Other examples or other devices that we might apply to the long form poetry is the idea of an epic. And these are often large scale poems that have this kind of heroic or mythic proportions to them. Things like Homer's Odyssey or Ezra Pound's The Cantos. In modern terms, you could think about a personal epic. It could be a tale of migration, or it could be about a generational saga, something that has been maybe an object handed down through generations of a family. Next, fragments or poetic fragments. Now, again, I'm going to return to Claudia Rankine's Citizen here. Fragments are often the way we think, scattered, layered, raw. If you think about a mix of prose poetry, fragments, and personal narrative forming the basis of a long-form poem that is constellating around all of these elements, constellating around a central theme, then you are working in the field of poetic fragments. Here's another quick prompt for you. I want you to pick one strange fact or story from history and then research that so that you know lots of things about it, and then to start thinking how you might form that into a poem that is long, substantial, and made up of different elements. And of course, there's no reason why you can't use all of these devices. Use an epic structure or narrative structure that also then contains a lyric sequence or poetic fragments. On a personal note, this is something I feel sort of challenged by as a poet, but also inspired by, and I'm currently in the research stages of a long-form poem that will focus on migration. As always, thank you very much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you have, please do click on the like button and the subscribe button, and please do share the videos too, and I will be back really soon with more poetry content. Thanks for watching.